Hi everyone, I'm going to talk about motor development, and I just want to give credit to Katie Rasmussen for a lot of the information in this presentation. She is an occupational therapist with our preschool program. She works in the age 3 to 5 early childhood special education program. So I'd like to thank Katie for giving us a lot of this information. To begin with, there are two kinds of motor development that we talk about, and the first one that I'm going to go over is called sometimes small motor development and also fine motor development. Same thing, and it refers to the coordination between small muscles like those in your hands, fingers, with eyes. So it's eye-hand coordination, and fine motor skills involve the muscles of the body that enable you to do such things as writing, picking up small objects, and fastening clothing. I'm going to go through some of the things that you should expect to see at different ages. It helps in a couple of ways, just to know that your kids are on track developmentally. But also to know maybe it gives you some ideas of things you can do to support skills at those ages. So from birth to 2 months, you were looking for a fisted hand the majority of the time. They should be able to grasp a rattle for 30 seconds. It's closer to the 2-month age. And then visually tracking an object 90 degrees to both sides. Age 3 to 5 months, when they're lying on their back, they should be able to extend their arms straight up towards an object. So if you're holding something out, they should be able to hold their hands and arms up and reach out and for that object. And then when lying on their back, we like to see their hands come to midline, exploring their fingers. Midline is like the middle part of their body. And so that's an important aspect of motor development, is that they can bring their hands up, and in what midline looks like is they bring their hands up and they can clasp their hands together and explore their hands and fingers. Reaching for and picking up a rattle in a supported sitting position. And then 6 to 8 months, transferring an object from hand to hand, beginning to isolate that index finger, so they're just poking at something or touching food. There's this raking motion that they will use at that age to pick up small items. It's not a sophisticated pincer grasp, but a raking position motion. They'll pick up things between a thumb and a curled index finger and hold their own bottle at this age. 9 to 11 months. You're beginning to see the thumb opposition. They'll release an object into your hand, grasp small things with the pad of their thumb and the pad of their index finger, begin to finger feed themselves or feed themselves finger food, and then hold and bite soft, solid food. (12 to 14 months), they should be able to turn a cup over to dump it out, place one shape into a basic puzzle or a shape sorter. They start to scribble on paper. They'll open the cover of a board book, place small objects in a container, and bring a spoon to their mouth, but not very well. Pretty messy. 15 to 18 months, stack 2 to 3 cubes, place coins in a slot or something like that. It's a much more sophisticated pincer grasp they're using for that. Drinking from an open cup, removing their socks, and then start scooping food with a spoon with some spilling. 19 to 24 months, they should be able to turn pages of a board book one at a time. They imitate a vertical line, meaning they draw or a vertical line. Stack 4 to 6 blocks. Remove unfastened shoes. And throw a ball 3 feet overhand and underhand. So then large motor, the other area of motor development is called large motor. It's also called gross motor, and it involves larger, stronger muscles that enable them to hold their head up, sit, crawl, and eventually walk, run, jump, and skip. So it's the big muscles. At 3 to 6 months, they should be holding their heads up when they're being held in the sitting position, roll, pushing themselves up onto their arms when they're on, and push themselves up onto their arms when they're on their belly. 6 to 9 months, sitting without help, and some kids may crawl at this age. 9 to 12 months, sitting without support, crawling, pulling up in a standing position, walk while holding onto something for support or holding onto your hands, and then maybe standing for a few seconds. At 18 months, most children should be or can walk alone, walk downstairs holding the rail one step at a time, run in a, so quote unquote, run in a hurried walk, walk into a large ball to kick, meaning it's the walking into it that is the kick, throw a ball, pull a pull toy, and stand on one leg with help. And at 24 months, most kids can walk alone, walk backwards, lean over to pick something up without falling, pull and push toys, sit down in a small chair, walk up and walk down stairs holding your hand, and they should be able to run fairly well. I wanted to mention an interesting phenomenon that has been happening probably in the last decade or so, where teachers, elementary school teachers, kindergarten teachers are seeing more and more kids come to school in kindergarten with weak fine motor skills and really needing a lot of extra help with their handwriting because of their weak fine motor skills. And some of the speculation around that include these things. So there's kids who skip crawling and go straight to walking. The skipping of the crawling actually skips them building up shoulder and arm strength, more shoulder and arm strength. And so that's one of the possible reasons for having a weaker fine motor skills. Kids, it's been documented, are spending more time in baby carriers and seats. I think we're learning more now about that, and I definitely see parents definitely doing more tummy time than in the past. There's the thought that less free play is playing a part in this. There's more scheduled activities. Kids aren't just running around and climbing and digging and jumping and doing playing more free play. Additionally, less exposure to small parts and creative play because of the same thing. There's more scheduled activities. The idea of having less exposure to small parts is something that is, we definitely don't want to be giving 1-year-olds small parts, but in a supervised environment, it's a really good idea. There is also, this is kind of the biggest speculation, is that it was with the advent of more screens that is possibly a culprit in this phenomenon. Tapping and swiping definitely use fine motor skills, but not a lot of hand strength. And then maybe related to that is the idea of less outdoor time. And so if they're on their screens more often, they're probably not playing outside as much, where they actually get more strengthening through heavy work and outdoor play. And then a little bit has been written about the squeezable fruit and food versus solid finger foods. So squeezing a pouch is is easier. Doesn't take quite the hand strength that it does and dexterity that it does to pick up pieces of food off of their tray or eat food that they have to pick up and hold on to with their hands. Just a few thoughts to keep in mind. So what can you do about supporting fine motor skills and hand strength so that your child gets to kindergarten with the needed hand strength for handwriting? Giving kids scissors, I know for really young kids, this is not something that parents think about, but there are lots of scissors that are made for little kids, and we would say in the proper environment where you're sitting with them and keeping an eye on them because you don't want any free haircuts, is letting them practice using scissors to snip a variety of different materials. For preschool age kids, it's really a good idea to give them things that are harder to cut, like cardboard and straws, things that they really have to use their muscles to. Pulling off the tops of markers, getting dressed. So it's the children who are in sort of the toddler, 2-year-old age, they're great at taking socks off and pulling snaps open, but encouraging them to put the socks on and snap and button and zip is really going to increase their fine motor skills and hand strength. Play-Doh, greatest activity ever for increasing hand strength. Squeezing a washcloth while they're playing in the bathtub perhaps, or setting them up next to the sink and giving them a washcloth or squishy toys, things that they can squish and squeeze. Turning doorknobs, I know that's probably not something that you want your kids to do at a really young age, but it is something that improves their hand strength. So if it's possible to allow them to do that periodically. Squeezing toothpaste or anything like that where they're squeezing tubes or bottles. Spray bottles are also a great idea, spray and squirt bottles. Pulling blocks apart, any of those snap beads or snap blocks, things that even Duplos are great for hand strength. And then pulling open food containers, screwing the tops onto food containers, save your plastic containers with flip tops or the screw tops and just let your kids play with those. All of those things, and there's many more ideas for how to improve hand strength. And hopefully we can get some of those ideas from all of you when we talk about this. In terms of the improving shoulder strength and stability, which it's a combination of fine motor and large motor, but really, really important in terms of eventual writing skills, believe it or not. When kids write, they actually have to be able to sit up straight, hold their arm on the table, keep their feet on the floor, sit in a chair. So there's a lot more involved in those writing or pre-writing skills than one would think. And so some of the ideas for supporting that would be crawling, just pretending to be animals, crawling around the floor, crawling through tunnels. Great shoulder and core strength exercise there. Popping bubbles in the air where they're having to reach their arm up. And anytime they're reaching their arm up and doing that motion is going to be really great for their shoulder strength. Pushing a laundry basket that's maybe full of some heavy things, pushing and pulling anything, wagons, laundry basket. Stacking objects away from the body, meaning they are having to reach their arm out and stack the object. Of course, playground equipment, climbing on playground equipment, swinging on the monkey bars, climbing trees, all of that. It's really great for their core and shoulder strength. Doing animal walks when they're on all fours, walking like different kinds of animals. Coloring on a vertical surface or an easel, like in the picture where the child is painting with water, the fence is a really great exercise to increase their core strength and shoulder strength. So anytime they're standing in front of something and paint and moving their arms up and down, so like washing a window or coloring at an easel. Washing the table, give your kids some paper towels and a little spray bottle, maybe with a little bit of vinegar and a tiny bit of soap in there, and have them go to town cleaning the house. It's really, really great for building up their hand and shoulder strength. Playing the freeze or statue game, it's also a great game for supporting impulse control. You play some music, stop the music, they freeze, and they have to hold their bodies very still. Or playing the statue game where they have to stop and pose and hold the pose. This wheelbarrow walk is a really fun activity, and maybe your kids already know how to do this, but if they don't, it's hard. And you can just see by looking at this child in the picture at the top doing it, that it is definitely going to be supporting fine motor as well as large motor skills. So if you have any concerns, as usual, we'd encourage you to talk to your pediatrician or one of us, a teacher. If your child is between the ages of birth to 3, you should contact Help Me Grow. If you have a child who's older than age 3, the thing that we would recommend is just getting signed up for early childhood screening. And because kids, once they turn 3, that's what we recommend. Another resource that is a really great website to go to is called Minnesota Parents Know. It has lots of great information about child development and sort of what to expect at what age. And then you can also contact us and our early childhood special ed department, and the phone number is there. Thank you.